Okay, this is the wheel hub of the MG, and I need to remove these two outer races, the bigger one, which I'll probably drift out, but the inner one, and this is actually the outer one, the smaller one, I've made up this, well, I've turned up this little spacer on my lathe, and I'll actually press that one out, and I'll show you that shortly. That will sit in there like so, just sits in the hole, and I'll press that one out. Okay, this is my little pressing kit, part of it. Just make sure everything's on center. Okay. I'll take this over to the vise and we'll press it out. Okay, I've got the hub set up in the vise. Make sure it's tight. Appropriate size socket. And I'll just turn it until it moves. It just let go there. Almost there. It should just let go. That's it. Find the bearing in here. There we go. That's the bearing. This is just a small puller kit that was purchased from eBay for about $25. Really cheap, but it's been very useful. I've done wheel bearings with it. I've replaced seals and whatever with it. Very handy little tool. This piece here did not come with the kit. This is one I turned up to fit the bore so that I could press the bearing out. It's handy having the lathe, which you can probably see in the background. We'll move on to the inner race. I can't really use the puller to remove this race. You'll find inside the bore there's two little indentations, as you can see there. I'll get a drift in there and just use the drift to hammer those out, which I'll show you in a minute. It's moving. careful I don't injure myself. There it goes. It reached 47 degrees here today in Sydney, and we've just had the southerly come through and it's dropped from 47 to 20 degrees. Clean it up a little bit. Okay, this is the order of reassembly, and I'm showing you the old parts, but there's the seal ring that goes on the rear. There's the seal. That'll be the bearing and race, spacer, shims, race, outer race, and then you'll have the locking washer, and then the castle nut. I'll leave that for the minute. Okay, I've got the new bearing set here, the new seal. That's for the that's the brake caliper lock tab. I don't need that at the moment. What I'm going to do is put the larger outer race in NSK. I'll drift it in with a hammer and a bit of brute force, but that's the new bearing, new outer race and a race. So I'll just spray some brake cleaner on this before I do it. Make sure it's nice and clean. It's already coated in oil. Just drop that in there. And I'll use this to persuade the thing in. And you just got to make sure that you get it, that it goes in level. And I'll use this. I think that's just about it. Okay, now I'll do the outer race. Again, the bevel side, or the beveled edge, or the rounded edge if you like, seats on the bottom of the hub recess, and just line it up square. I cannot press this one in because my little pressing tool is not long enough, so I've made up this drift on the lathe which fits in there so that I can at least maintain, well, basically punch it in parallel. That will keep it reasonably parallel so that it shouldn't bear in at an angle. I just need this, so hopefully this will go in without any trouble. Stub axle assembly, including the kingpins. I was going to renovate the old set, but unbeknownst to me, you need a double reamer to do the job, and they're very expensive. Here in Australia you can get them, but they're about $350 for the reamer, which is really, for something that you might use once, is a fairly expensive outlay. And these I think were $250 each, fully assembled with the new kingpins, trunnions, all good to go. So basically a no-brainer. Okay, I am going to trial assemble all of this and set the end clearance or the float on the bearings, which is 2 to 4 thou I think, but anyway, we'll see how we go. That one goes followed by the bearing. Okay, then the hub. Sorry, the spacers next. The shims. And then the outer race. Now this is only a trial fit. Okay, now I'm going to assemble the hub, bearing, spacer, seal, etc. I've got to be really careful putting these nitrile gloves on, they just tear so easily. I'm going to be using a bit of grease, so I try and keep my hands clean. Okay, first thing will be the seal, or the hub. I'll just put some grease around the sealing point. And maybe on the bearing inner race or outer race. Just pack some grease in there. I don't think you really need it, but not going to do any harm, is it? Okay. I might just pack some grease in here as well on the back of that seal. Just fill it with grease. And this is just your stock standard HTB, high temperature bearing grease, HTG I think it's called. Anyway, just fill that with grease, creates a little reservoir of grease, and just maybe smear some on the outside. Okay, that's that prepared. Now I need to pack the bearing. Now, I've had a look on the internet, and apparently this is how you do it. Put some grease there and just fill it. Fill the gaps in here until it squeezes out the other side. Making sure there's no air in it. So I'll get some grease on my palm. Right, so apparently this is how you do it. Just keep doing that until it comes through. Yeah, here it comes, see that? You can see why I'm wearing gloves. Oh, I think I've got the hang of it now. Yeah, okay. Okay, I think that's pretty well greased up. I'll just sit this inside the inner vase. This one goes that way, and this one goes that way, so that actually sits inside here like so, and we will push this in place. Okay, I might just have to tap this in with a block of wood. Okay, for those of you that didn't notice, yep, I forgot to put the spacer in first. Spacer goes in first, and then the bearing. Rookie mistake. Redo the spacer. It will push in. Good. Grease is messy stuff. Now, this should now slip on here, like so. Put my shims back in. Up the other. Okay, time to grease up the small outer bearing. More of this messy stuff. Apparently this one is the one that usually runs dry the first. Well, the two bearings, this one will run dry before the other one. Okay. I'm going to put more grease on this. me have a clean up. Okay, that bearing is in. Now for the tab washer, I think I'm going to just smear some grease around this edge. I don't know why, just to get some more grease in there. Can't do any harm, can it? Okay, that's the tab washer in. And for the castle nut. Okay, the castle nut's in. Now torque it up. Just need to check that the hole lines up on the castle nut. Find it. Okay, I've had to put another 5/1000 shim in it because I think it's too tight. Okay, let's try again. Better. Okay, I'm going to torque it up to 50 foot-pounds, which is 75 Newton meters, so I'll maybe go to 80 Newton meters. Okay, we're almost on the hole. Tiny bit more. Say that would be us. One more. Perfect. I should get a split pin in there now. Still running freely. Beautiful. job done. Well, that was a bit of an effort, and the grease, as you can see, is really messy stuff that makes it so much more difficult. Anyway, we're done.